Were you a fan of the game before you sign on for the film? And is that important? Do you need to like the game to bring the film to life?
It's a good question. I had not played the game before. I had not seen any of the other movies. I knew of them because, they've certainly, I think, put their stamp on popular culture. The only thing I knew, and what was actually most important to me, or just as important as a good script, a good story, a good character, was that it was a franchise that had an international fan base. People all over the world who are obsessed with this film. And thanks to the work I did on the TV show Prison Break, I have a fan base that's global as well. So now that the show is done, being a part of this movie was a nice way to stay in touch with those fans in different parts of the world.
But did you have to get educated? Did you go back and
Oh yeah,
play the game?
I watched sequences from the video games that spoke to my character's history. I went online and did my research on fan sites to find out what the expectations were as far as the character. What is it that I bring to the table naturally? Who is my version of Chris Redfield? I have to be true to myself at the end of the day as well.
The critics have been slamming the franchise since the first film, but fans have always flocked to it. So why do you think there's such a disconnect between the two?
You'd have to ask critics what their issues are. I haven't read those reviews, so I can't speak to that dynamic.
Well, they say they're meaningless, incoherent, just a few of the things.
Okay. What I can say is that I was aware of how hard we all worked to make sure that it wasn't just action and adventure and special effects.
Now this is a pleasant surprise.
You're not just an actor, you also write.
Right.
Now, does that make it harder when you're reading other people's screenplays? Do you see more flaws?
I am a tough reader, but I think that has its roots in my background as an English major. I bring a different set of expectations, I think, to a script than maybe your average actor does. But I also have more respect for the scripts that I read now, because I know firsthand how difficult it is to come up with 110 pages of something that is coherent, that makes sense.
And where do you stand on the 3D debate? Are you gung-ho about it like Paul is, or do you think it's going to take a while?
At the root of why we go to the movies is we want to see stories, characters, themes that we relate to as human beings. The methodology in which we tell these tales may change. There might be significant advancements like, the technology that James Cameron used with Avatar, but it was also essentially a good story. Without a good story, there's nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Claire, who did this to you? Umbrella. We have to move on.